Hey Wargamers, welcome back to the channel, Death from Above Wargaming. I'm Aaron,
I'm Tom.
and we are here with our first ever after action report. Uh,
AAR.
yeah, AAR, not to be confused with Aaron, which which is slightly different and a joke that never gets old with me. So we were supposed to do one with a battle report that Dan and I did, but then Dan went to Portugal. Thom and I aren't sure if he ever came back. I think he did.
I don't think it was him. I don't think it was him.
Ah, so good. But this one, guys, we're doing a review basically on the Free Worlds League versus the Magistracy of Canopus, the Cat Girls.
Just see.
It's so
You need
good.
to have like the bouncing magistracy
Magistracy.
across the board.
Hooked on
Um,
phonics.
yeah.
That's anyway. We're already off topic. All right. So what we're gonna do first is we're gonna dive into the forces. Let's look at these sweet forces, shall we, Tom?
Yeah, I'm
All right.
excited.
Let's do it. Here we go.
Refresh my memory.
We're going to start with you. The first mech you took four mechs, you took two tanks, two aerospace
Sure.
fighters,
Yeah.
which were they're sort of the focal point of this whole mission, right? Was just having the arrow on arrow action.
Yeah.
So the Black Knight 18, this
Yeah.
thing's disgusting. It's an
Unbelievable.
ilClan era beast. Tell me what you thought about this one.
Yeah, it was a knockout mech. I mean, the amount of damage, overheat 3 in medium doing 5 was just unbelievably brutal. Its movement's not great. 4 isn't terrible for the amount of damage it puts down. Like if
Yeah,
you think about like an assault mech, um, they would put down 5, with overheat 3, but would
yeah.
move what,
Yeah, probably
3?
three or right or less, unless it's clan mech. But even then, some of those bigger ones are threes and four,
Yeah.
twos
Yeah, and it didn't really have anything in the specials that mattered. Program recon like didn't matter for this mission.
for this mission. Yeah,
Yeah, but great armor, great structure. The Bushwhacker was another good mech. It was fast. The things I didn't like about it were I don't like any mech that has 3 structure. Because of the huge disadvantage you have in withdrawal,
right.
force withdrawal. But it did have flak, which if I remember, we did end up using against the aerospace at some point. That was
Yeah,
helpful.
we talked about it.
Yeah, at least we talked about it, so that matters.
It was a smart choice considering we knew there was going to be aerospace fighters in the in the mission.
Thunderbolt was great. Jump jets on this guy. Indirect fire is great, and
Hmm.
tons of armor, tons of structure. Again,
Right.
with the odd numbered structure, kind of a waste of the points with alpha. We really need to talk more one day. Maybe the next jump point we can talk more about like, does there need to be some kind of change to the way that we're doing that? Either like always having even numbered, but we can talk. I don't want to get too off track, but I
No, you
just
mean with
hate.
force withdrawal? Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
we have a focus group up with our patrons talking exactly. We have several up for our veteran patrons. It's a perk. They can get involved in developing house rules. And one of the things that we are talking about, we actually just started this maybe 2 days
yeah. I saw a
ago.
flurry of Teams notifications or
Yes, yeah, Discord
Discord. Yeah,
is morale, right? And how how can we make it work? We talked a little bit about other games out there and how they work.
yeah, and I think the mechanic itself works well, especially like our house rule of being able to roll for like rallying,
Hmm.
right? So you can stay in the fight. I think is what we call it, right?
Yeah,
Um, that modification really makes it very dynamic, and
yeah.
I don't mind it. It's just there's these mechs where you're like, wait, really? I've only lost 2 pips, but I'm in force withdrawal. Like that seems not right. And it's again, it's just a quirk of I think the translation, right?
Yeah, the
Of the
abstraction.
yeah, yeah, and the Victor having jump jets, moving four, it was
Yeah.
movable. The damage was strong. It's not like the Black Knight levels of
No.
ridiculousness, but in total, you have extreme range, you have good close range damage, and then your armor and structure, you're just soaking.
So,
Yeah, so it was a
um,
great mech, and again, the strategy that paid off in terms of how I played the Victor. So the Shreks, again, the movement is so
it's
slow,
abysmal.
um, especially like moving up down terrain. Other than that, they're great. I mean, they're for the cost and
Yeah.
for the armor. You get a lot of damage, you get a lot of firepower, and yeah, they were great. They were integral to my strategy, and they paid off, I think. So
Yeah, there's something to be said about vehicles where you can spend, 20 points, 25 points on like a skill 4 guy and get, 6 to 8 points of damage sink before it goes into withdrawal. I mean, that's just something that either you have to deal with early or you ignore it like I did, and then you get paid, you get punished for it. You pay
yeah,
for it later in the game.
that's
Um,
like my eternal struggle in decision making is with typically with vehicles. Yeah,
right,
and then
right.
the Shalons are the same. There's two of them. Again, amazing units, tons of damage. This one I got completely hosed with. Aaron did it on purpose. I'm kidding. No, it didn't have the E and E. This is the I don't want to like give away all the
Oh, well, with the
tactics with
strafing, yeah,
fighters, but if you're going to play an attacking style with an aerospace, make sure the variant has the E and E special rule
I agree.
because
Yeah,
otherwise you're just completely nerfed in one of the best attack methods that you have.
I agree.
So,
Yeah.
um, yeah. So, but other than that, I mean, again, you'll see throughout this, or if you've already watched it, you'll see aerospace is extremely interesting in Alpha Strike. Um, it's very dynamic. It completely changes the gameplay. And aerospace to aerospace, which was kind of the point of this whole bat rep, was really fun and like. And I think I said it towards the end. It's like a completely different game happening within the game. It's a game pretending to be a game
Disguised
inside
as
of
another
another game.
game.
This cat doesn't know. Yeah, it really is like we chose at some point to kind of like pit our fighters against each other, and
Right.
then every turn was like this separate resolution of the aerospace to aerospace, and then however that worked out, then we moved on to the mechs because everything's resolved first.
The Free Worlds League, what I fielded was 4 mechs. I fielded 1 tank, one
Battle armor.
squad of battle armor, inner sphere battle armor, and then 2 Corsair aerospace fighters. So the Avatar um, is a great mech. I love this thing in all just from a lore perspective. I love it. I love the way it looks. It performs very well in Alpha Strike. It's got crap tons of damage. It is the most controversial Battlelytics review, better than the Summoner. Suck it, clan lovers. And the only downside of this thing is the structure, right? It
The
has the
summoner
XL
is the
engine.
underwhelming mech. Yeah,
Summoner's underwhelming. People love it. I mean,
exactly.
it's iconic,
I
this,
love
but
it.
the Prime sucks. But this one suffers the same thing with the stupid, 3 pips of odd, structure. You take 1 pip of internal structure and it's in withdrawal. It's kind of dumb.
Yeah.
But I brought it
To the
because I
point.
wanted to bring Innersphere Battle Armor. Rumor has it that Innersphere Battle Armor will make an appearance in the Mercenary Kickstarter, Tom. So I
Yeah.
wanted to try it out, and since it's an Omni mech, you can attach battle armor to it, so very cool. I thought it did well. I actually don't think I got this one in the fight as much as I would have liked. It's that medium range that it really shines at. It's a big drop off to long. Still good. 3 dice at long is good, but
It's okay.
it's
He,
nasty.
he's not an A student, but he's going to Harvard. No big deal.
I want to skip to the mechs first.
Well, a longbow.
Longbow, your favorite. Now, this thing, I took the 7Q intentionally in my force design because I wanted the meats. This thing has, it's like Victor-esque in terms of the armor and structure. 1 more pip because it's an 85 tonner. It is slow, but it is cost effective, I think, for what you get. It has hits at extreme. It's got solid
Indirect
damage across
fire
the board.
3, right?
Yeah, right. It gives you
Yeah.
really good options. This thing I had to fit into the points. I didn't. It's funny because I had a Clint in there for a while, and then I switched to the Wolfhound, and I wasn't sure what I wanted to run, but I ended up with the Wolfhound.
Great mech.
It was underwhelming, I think. They're tough little mechs. They run around. They can shoot things. They can be
Good picks.
pesky. But like really, I think I didn't love it. And then this thing.
Classic.
I love the Zeus. So what did I have originally? I think I had a Cyclops, and then I ended up switching it to a Zeus in the second
Is this
iteration
like
of
an
the list.
ilClan era
It
build?
is. It's a
Yeah,
mixed
the
tech.
11
It's got Clan ER PPC, Clan ER large lasers. It's awesome in like Destiny and
case
Classic.
2, which if I
K
remember, case 2 I think saved your life, right?
Correct. You take no
Yeah.
damage. It's like having ENE but for the ammo explosion, right?
Right.
Um, you know, it's basically the same thing. So it's very cool. And it also has the Beagle probe, which didn't do anything here, indirect fire, which is useful. And it
Right.
does have good damage across the board. It just doesn't have that overheat that the Black Knight has. And the other thing is
I
again
mean,
that stupid XL engine kills the structure on these mechs.
at least
Um,
it's an even number. Yeah.
at least it's an even number. I would rather it have six,
Even
but
numbers
it is
worth
what
it.
it is. And then the IS battle armor, also very good. So this is very cheap, 13 points. I believe elementals are 20 at skill 4. So this is quite the savings. Now you don't have any medium range damage,
You
but at
only
the
got
same
4 guys
time,
in it.
like no, it's a 5-man squad, I think. I think it's a 5-man squad regardless. But it's 2 armor, 2 structure. I mean, really, what these things are is they're objective holders, right? More than anything else. Um, so
Yeah. Meat
I
shields.
did get the patent. Look at this thing real quick. I love the silver bullet patent. It wasn't a Rommel, it's a patent. They look the same. 37 points, but look at all the freaking armor on this thing.
It was
It's
brutal.
crazy. It's got as much as the Victor. A little
Yeah.
less structure, but really good. I mean, it's got the same as the Zeus. Damage profile's good. You can hit it extreme. You do great damage at long and medium. It does have flak, which I actually did not use against your airspace fighters, but maybe I should
I don't think
have.
we were using. I feel like we kind of didn't
Forgot.
remember.
Yeah,
Yeah.
forgot. But the
Yeah. No.
Corsair is ENE, right? So it's got excellent damage dealing capabilities. And, when it comes in and it strafes at short range, you're dealing 4 points of damage, which is tremendous. The other thing I like about this mech is there's a threshold of 3. I'm sorry, this Aerospace Fighters has a threshold of 3. So it means it needs to take 3 points of damage before it makes that critical check, which is an investment. It's not like you can just ping it and it's taking critical checks. It is, it's the kind of thing where you really need to, put some firepower on it. Anyway, so let's talk about the battle itself. So this was an intercept mission. I got the whole battle report up here, but it is an intercept mission. 6 objectives, right? Basically, place them where we wanted at the beginning. You got to place 3. I got to place 3. They go hot, starting on turn 2, and then
Yeah.
only
We
5
roll
go
for them.
hot. Right? We roll
They're
for them
numbered and we
randomly.
roll.
They're numbered, et cetera, et cetera. You know the drill. All right, so let's get to deployment. I'm gonna fast forward here. This was somewhere in the first turn. All right. So a couple of things here that I see. So top left, I have the longbow. In the middle, I deployed the Avatar and the Zeus. I was hoping to provide sort of like that strong point in the center. You can't see it in this view, but the Rommel tank is actually behind that rock formation in the bottom left of the map. And then my aerospace fighters were just kind of zooming across. On your side, you
Yep.
deployed a little different than me.
I did. Yeah. Um, I sort of deployed. So I had. You can see up in the top right quadrant that my Shalons are kind of. The way that we mark them on the board is
Yeah, they
you
were
have
up
the
here.
2 kind of blue starting points. Or yeah, you see you have a starting point and then an end point in the red across on Aaron's
Oh,
side of the board. So I was basically focus firing his mech,
yeah.
which I think was your longbow, right?
Correct, correct. And you
Yeah.
had this was your Victor up here,
Yep.
um, which was
Yeah.
all kind of all by himself. And I think that was smart, with the stealth armor and things like that. He could have closed really fast. But when I flew in on turn 1, remember the bombs were dropping on turn 1. I dropped
Yeah.
bombs, and they're point of impact attacks, right? Basically, like I'm attacking the ground, not your mech,
Yeah.
and so it ignores all that, the stealth armor and all that nonsense. Um,
Yeah. And
but
then down
yeah,
in the
and then your Shreks were up on the top of the map, right behind this
yeah,
spire.
that's yep, yeah, exactly. They were up with the Victor, and then
Let's
the
see.
then the Bushwhacker, Thunderbolt, and Black Knight.
Yeah, there
Yes,
they
that's a
are.
good view. You can see them there, and you can see, I think, too,
Look at those
where,
Shallones.
yeah, where the Shallones are coming through. And then, yeah, and so if you look to on the right-hand side of the screen, which would be my left, I guess,
Yeah, your
those
left
three,
flank.
the Victor, Bushwhacker, and Thunderbolt, the idea was that there was just a lot of good cover in that corner. So I could
Yep.
kind of, if we go back to that top-down view, there was
Yeah.
almost like a channel running crosswise across the board.
You can't really
Um,
zoom in this one. Yeah,
yeah,
this view here. Yep.
yeah.
Right through
So
here.
yeah, through there and then zigzagging across the board too. Exactly. So I thought that was a good place to block them from your like longbows, crazy damage, at
Mm-hmm.
extreme. Um, so yeah,
Yeah.
and again, I was teasing it. I didn't want to talk too much about it until this bat rep, but um, we very quickly realized both that aerospace dictates movement
It's very
at this
true.
point in the game. All of a sudden, instead of rushing into position, we're taking our time because we want to be able to shoot back. And we need to strategically place our mechs to not give certain arcs and make sure that we have almost like, anti-air coverage, that we have like a mesh of firing shots. So we really, it slowed down the mech's movement in a very realistic way to me. I always kind of hated like the first turn or two. It was like everybody sprints, because you're just trying to get into position, and this changed that dynamic completely. There's all of a sudden this completely different, much more slow. Like we got to wait for an opening before we can really rush in on a position, because there's the fighters that you can just get anywhere you want, and cover doesn't matter as much, like in terms of what do you call that, like line of sight
Yeah.
cover. And yeah, so just to start off, that dictated, I think, a lot of the first couple turns until we decided to again go fighter versus fighter. I think around turn 3 is where we started to just engage each other to see what would happen.
Yeah.
um,
I think that's right. And just looking at the damage recap, so turn one,
yeah,
you missed everything on the longbow. I think
yep.
you might have scratched the paint.
Oh,
Um,
I don't even
or did you go after the Corsair? Because the Corsair actually was damaged. Although I think your Victor shot at it, if I recall.
yeah, I think the tank
Um,
actually did that, but yeah.
yeah, and then on your side, it looks like one of the Shallones took a little damage, and your Victor, I remember I dropped 4 bombs on it, and I think 3 of them landed for
Yeah,
6 pips, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, it was
And
good.
just kind of fast forwarding through, like things progressed very quickly. So this is a view of turn two. That makes more sense to me.
Yeah, now you can like I was saying, see it now. I'm up in that corner. I'm going
Yeah.
diagonally like a triangle across,
Yes.
um, which was
Right.
keeping you stuck back there.
Yeah, the Wolfhound was pinned in. That's when this objective went hot up here.
I
The
know you got
longbow
so
still pinned in. I remember the longbow barely moved the whole game. Um,
yeah,
right, I got the patent tank down here. Right, the Zeus and the Avatar in the middle. Your line still moving in. You brought your. Oh, this is when they all turned up
yep.
and you
They were
faced
like,
them all. Yeah, they're just tracking the Corsair, right? So they gunned
yeah,
them down to
yeah. I
just
did.
to
I
sort
did. I
of.
think I
Yeah, this
yeah,
was
because
smart.
again, and we talked about it in the last one, but fighters, if you want to use them, become very vulnerable because at any point in their flight path, you measure to that at any point. Not where they end up, not where they start, nothing. It's any point. So
Right.
if you position correctly, you're getting like medium range shots against a lot of fighters because they have to be low enough to get a good target modifier.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's like a risky thing. And we talked about it during the game, but my tactic was to play aggressive. I didn't think that they would be survivable. I thought that they would be just like a bruising. They would disrupt your movement and also potentially do some serious damage when a shot opened up. And I knew that they weren't going to live long. That was sort of how I approached it. I was like, these fighters are going to get gunned down, but they're going to be laying some serious firepower down beforehand.
The other thing I will say about aerospace fighters is they slow the game down significantly. Just, observation. For better or for worse, they definitely make the game go a little bit slower. So by turn 4, at the end of turn 4, all of our aerospace fighters were dead. We all made crazy runs and everything else. So I'm going to fast forward here. So this is a damage recap for turn 2. So now we're into turn 3. I had lost a fighter in turn 3. Just real quick, what was going on here? So this is where I was moving my mechs right further south into that sort of by that comm array. I had the Zeus exchanging fire with that bushwhacker, and this set me up for that critical mistake. I believe it was either this turn or I think it was turn 5 where you ended up strafing behind both of them, because it looks like your Shalone is coming down off that. What is that? The top left.
Yeah, at that point, I was still going against that longbow. You can see. Actually, I think we ended up doing fighter to fighter. But
oh yeah, I think you're right. I do think you're right. So then,
if you go back to that,
yeah, here, right here.
Well, that's a good shot. Yeah, so you can see where they both start. My one's coming this way to stay out of your firing path. Yeah, that exactly straight there, and then the other one's actually going back to my table edge. Yeah,
very cool. Yeah. You just imagine it happening in real time. Yeah, so some of the mistakes that I think I made in this game was I got too distracted with some of the smaller prey. I think what I should have done was and maybe food for thought for anybody playing this mission is try not to spread your forces too wide. Instead, be ready to kind of cut deeper into territory. Like where I lost was because I had nothing to push forward into the central region. I was too spread north to south.
Well, and you were stuck in that corner with I think two of your mechs.
Too much. Yeah. Too much. Now, maybe what I should have done is deployed the Avatar and the Patton differently, right? And then I could have ran the Avatar in, dumped the battle armor, and then moved it up to support in with the Zeus and the Patton holding down the middle. I think I sort of messed up in that deployment.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
But then who knows? You fly in and drop a bomb on the infantry, and they're all dead. So hindsight's 20/20.
If I remember, your infantry also absorbed some damage that your Avatar would have taken.
That's a good call. No, that's 100% right. And we always have this conversation. You love talking about what's the cost of armor in points, right? Yeah. So you are getting, effectively 3 pips of armor on your mech, right? Assuming that the battle armor can take 4, and at 3 pips it goes into force withdrawal, right? So it can take 3, right? Now there's a what is it on a 5 or 6 it takes the damage, and 1, 2, 3, 4 it hits the mech. I think so. There's a 33% chance that it will hit the battle armor, but again, it's also saying every third point of or every fourth point of damage or whatever it is, right? Goes to the battle armor. No, it'd be every third point. Yeah. So every third point goes to the battle armor, right? As effectively, statistically how it would work. What's the point cost of that? If you were to take a unit and just add, that many pips, it could be worthwhile.
But how much does it slow you down and all those things? Is
it doesn't slow you down. It doesn't slow the mech down at all. There's no speed penalty for it. And as I'm sitting here thinking, why would I not take skill 5 battle armor and be a cheeseball if I'm playing in a tournament and there's no restriction on it, right? Because then your point cost is
12, something like that.
Yeah, but that was for skill. That was for skill 4. So skill 5. Oh, you're right. 12 points. It doesn't actually. You don't actually get a huge discount from 4 to 5.
Just to sort of slow you down from.
Yeah, but still, I mean,
But
13,
you also
12
get,
points for.
yeah, I was just gonna say, but so not only do you get the armor from them, but then if the situation warrants it, you can drop them to cap, or
Right.
you can assault people with them, and they're pretty deadly. I
It's
mean,
like,
they are. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, this is like eating your legs. Um, okay, so back to this thing. So turn 4, which is I think the one we're on now. This is where I think this is turn 4.
Yeah, we should put a little turn counter on the bottom.
I know
That'd
that
be
would
cool.
be that would be. So this is turn 3. Now we're on turn 4. This is the turn where I made the mistake. There's the shot of doom.
Yeah.
So that's what I was talking about, how I had those mechs in and I got
The
too
feeding
hungry on the
frenzy.
bushwhacker. Now,
Yeah.
you significantly failed to capitalize on this. Had you
Oh,
rolled
it would
half
have been
decent,
amazing.
it would have been an absolute slaughter fest. I mean, there would have been blood in the
Yeah.
streets. Um,
I mean, what? Because that would have been, well, no, and you know, first off, if I had E and E on them, it would have been. So even if I hit, I think I was only doing what,
Half
three maybe?
damage, yeah. No,
Yeah.
it was like 2 or something. And I think in
Yeah.
total, and you were doing rear shots too. So I think it might have like round. I don't remember exactly where
Maybe
it worked
3
out,
or something.
but it looks like you were at low altitude. So you know it should have been significant as you strafed both of
Well, it
them
has to be, right? To strafe,
in
you
the
have to
rear.
be
Yeah.
at low. Yeah.
Oh, right. You have to
I
be at low altitude. Correct.
Yeah. I mean, it's still just looking at this screenshot makes me mad that
PTSD.
I had your rear arc. I had,
Had you?
all in.
You never had me. You never
You
had
never
your
had me.
car.
Yeah, this is like I shot my Nos shot at like the 8th mile. Like, what am I thinking?
Too soon, Junior. Too
Oh,
soon.
man. Those
So
rules. I don't even
this.
want you to play them, but I'm pretty sure they were brutal if we watched
So
them.
at the end of this,
We're both,
all our fighters were dead at the end of this turn. The longbow took a fire control hit on turn 5, and was pretty messed up, but not in force withdrawal. It couldn't hit anything. But
Interesting,
yeah, that was pretty much it. And then the battle armor got shot off the Avatar
I do
later
remember
in the
that.
game. But just kind of getting to the end of this thing, right? Like, look how sparse the board is. But so this was somewhere around, I want to say, maybe turn 5 or 6.
Yeah.
You'll notice
Well, how many? So there's two of the spot
there's,
of the objectives that are hot, right?
and both were yours to control. You ended up getting both of these.
Yeah.
And then
And it
I
came down to
captured.
whether.
Right, it came down to whether it was going to be this one or that one, and this one went hot, and I could
Yep.
not get the longbow was too slow to get across, and what I should have done, to be quite honest, was just suicide rush both of these mechs in, um, and this too, just move everything out in the open and give you too many targets to think about, and hope to God one of them could get in. But the reality is, like, there was nothing I could have done. I mean, I think you would have vaporized everything because those Shreks do 3 points of damage, I think, at long range, right? I mean, it's.
Two. Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
How did that last play? How did that last objective play out? Because the one I just got because it was in my backfield.
So this was
Yeah,
turn
hold on. Go
5.
there. Oh, okay.
You want to go back
Oh,
to the
yes.
damage?
Yeah, I was just curious to see that was my guys. So the Thunderbolt's basically dead. Um,
Everything else
Echelon's
was like
gone.
under
Shrek's
50% armor. Yeah, Shreks were fresh. And
yeah.
then I was not in bad shape. Like, the Avatar was on damage at this point because the battle armor soaked all the all the damage. Just shooting little dudes off.
Yeah. So then it was turn 6 then that one went hot, right?
Yeah,
So
so
we
there it
took the
is.
other.
1, 2,
Yeah.
and 3. So you took this one, and then my tank took this one. I had 2, you had 2, and then it came down to just this one up here.
Yeah, and you can see my Shreks are right there.
They're right there.
And I think I could hide. I think I hid them. You only have to be 3 inches. And so I think I was able to get the Shrek into position. And you would have had, and I remember too, like your Wolfhound had to come out and your longbow would have had to come out of cover, and I had pretty good coverage on them, so you were a little bit tentative.
Well, the longbow had like one. Well, it didn't have. It wasn't in forced withdrawal, so it had a. But it only had like a couple of pips left. I think.
Yeah.
I don't remember
So
off the
how
top of
does
my
this
head how
one
many
play
structure
out?
it has. 6 maybe. What's that? How did
Yeah,
it play out?
let's see how this plays out. Yeah, if I remember, I think you rushed in on my in my back where that cap. Yeah, see, like you came in thinking maybe you could knock me off that one objective that I had like
Yeah.
nailed down, and
I do remember
but I don't.
missing. Oh, I shot at the Shreks, and the Shrek shot at the Avatar. I remember I missed. Remember I missed the Shreks.
I'm pretty sure.
And look at this disgusting roll.
Yeah, that was a
That's you
great. Yep,
on the
I know.
on the Avatar,
I
I believe.
I never forget a 12.
Never forget a 12. And then yeah, I tried to push in on you, and I think I whiffed on most of it.
Yeah,
Um,
and then you were. Yep, and that's.
I couldn't. Oh God, the one on the pilot die. And then this was the recap for turn 6. Yeah, in one turn it was like basically almost stripped out, and you killed off all the battle armor on it. So I got kind of
Yeah.
lucky with the rolls. The Patent took some damage. The Zeus and the Wolfhound took damage. The Wolfhound
Well,
took on that through armor critical. It took a weapon hit. Now you're drawing my memory, and it couldn't
yeah,
hit anymore because I think it only had 1 point at extreme range.
and you could. Yep,
And
and
when you drop
so
the
yeah,
weapons down, it takes -1 to everything. And I was so I could have ran it in.
yeah.
Um,
Oh, so so
it's
painful.
just brutal.
Yeah, 2 different crits on the
Yeah.
yeah, and so then like how does that resolve up there? So
So
again,
it looks like I didn't move, which was
yeah.
dumb.
So
I think
yep, and
so.
I'm
See,
in capping. I'm in range to cap at that point right there.
you
I'm
are,
pretty
and I
sure.
think what I did was I targeted a whole bunch of stuff on this. Oh no, you the cover miser was like you can't
Cover
see it.
miser. Yep.
But you told me I couldn't see it, which is why this look we're checking with the laser.
Yeah.
I'm still don't believe it. I'm going to video assisted review on that one.
Yeah, we have to
Um,
do like a Google Earth like 3D terrain. Like let's fly it. Yeah, yeah.
my God, no, it was fair. I couldn't. The Shreks are very low. That's the benefit of being a vehicle.
Yeah.
But
And
also
also those
they can't see, right? Yeah.
iron and metal. Yeah.
Iron wind
Everything being a
metals.
little bit too small. I am a little bit excited for the new vehicles that are going
Mm,
to be substantially
mm-hmm.
different in scale, I think. I'm not
Yeah.
sure. I haven't seen them in person, but I have a feeling they're going
I
to be bigger. The Shreks are huge, right? If I remember.
Let me see, Tom. I as a
Do you have that handy?
special bonus to our viewers, Tom. I may
If you've
actually
watched this
have.
far, yeah. Yeah, they're.
Look at the size of the Shrek compared to the Goliath, which is an 85, I
Or
think,
is that
tons
a
or 80
Turkina?
tons. What's that?
Is that a Turkina next to it?
A what?
Next to
Where?
the Goliath?
Oh no, that's a hoplite. It does sort of look like a. It does look Turkina-ish in terms of the fact that it has a giant saucer on its head, but no. But look at the size of this thing. It's
Yeah, it's
enormous.
substantially higher, it looks like, too. There's no
Yeah,
way an 80-ton thing should have been as small as it was, yeah. So I'm
agreed.
happy about that.
Agreed.
As much
Yeah.
as it ruins my cover misering.
I mean, look
We
at the
should make
size.
t-shirts that say the cover miser.
Cover
That'd be pretty
miser.
fun.
Look at the size of the warrior
I know,
helicopter
it's so big.
on the Scorpion, right? I mean, like that's
It reminds me of the Russians' helicopter from Rambo. You remember? Like the two
yes,
cockpit. Oh, it's the
yes,
best. I
so
can't remember the
cool,
name of them, but they were like my dream. And then I had a plastic model kit of one of them. It was great.
beautiful. It's
But,
beautiful.
yeah. And so at
But
this
anyway,
point,
so basically at this point in the match, I mean, this had that my options had run dry. I think whether it was planned or fortuitous, the usage of the Shreks kind of moving slow and steady, having that objective go hot, that was super beneficial. Now the reality is, if the other objective went hot, you would have been hard pressed to like get me off that in 2 turns, right? I had the Zeus there. I had
like the
the
undamaged,
Avatar there.
basically.
I could have dropped the battle armor off and went to ground or whatever with them. I could have like sprinted the Rommel tank up, which That might actually. This is the Rommel tank. It was already there, and the Zeus is here. So
Yep.
under the red
You were
reticle,
waiting. Yeah, I
I
remember being
hedged and it
really
didn't
fun.
work. But again, I think in retrospect,
Swap the
when you're,
position.
I should have swapped them. I should have swapped them because the Rommel's also faster. It moves 2 inches more on the sprint. Yeah, it has issues going up and down hills, but that was pretty open terrain. So
Yeah,
you
good
killed the
luck.
longbow. You didn't do anything else to the avatar, but you destroyed the longbow. That was the sort of the hallmark. And then I did nothing. I really did nothing. I might have put a critical hit on the bushwhacker, but that
Yep.
was it. I completely whiffed on the Shreks. I completely failed to kill the Victor. It was bad. Bad news. It was close though. I mean, so basically, total points. I had 2 primary objective points. You had 3, but you also had
Like
3
getting
secondary
the
objective
longbow at the
points.
very end.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you got that
Yeah,
longbow.
because we each
So,
had two from the aerospace.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so that was the only mech that fully went down was the longbow.
correct. And that's it. That's how the cookie crumbles, Tom. So overall, I thought it was a good fight. I mean, I
Yeah.
liked the terrain on the map. I always love Intercept. It's such a elegant, simple, but it sort of keeps you on your toes. You can't really plan. You have to think, right? You have to keep your forces sort of spread out, but not too spread out. Speed is so important.
Yeah, I was gonna say like the aerospace on aerospace portion of the game, I still have really vivid, fond memories of.
Yeah,
It was so cool that we both were kind of like, we're engaging in dogfighting. Like, we're going to try this out, see how it goes. And we spent, like, I think 2 rounds just kind of duking it out in the air,
yeah,
which
yeah.
was really fun.
And
So we were
we
up in, I think, extreme range, keeping us out of the firing of the mechs, right? And just
right.
kind of trading shots and seeing who would get it. Very, very Maverick, you
It
know.
was very cool. And like we floated up, we may have said this in the battle report, but we were talking as we were playing, we floated some house rules about, you can't make air to surface attacks or air to ground attacks until you have air superiority, right?
Yeah.
Maybe a strafing run, but like it always struck me as weird that like, you could do like a bombing run, like while there were
Yeah.
enemy fighters, like
In contested airspace.
yeah,
Like,
no, it would never happen, right? I don't know,
yeah.
would it? Maybe.
Yeah, with a stealth fighter, or like a stealth
Right.
bomber at 80,000 feet or whatever.
Yeah,
Where
yeah, maybe, right? Or like a torpedo strike from space, but like, it would be cool to sort of like, I don't want to say force, but really force the dogfights to happen above the game. And then I don't know, we'll
and
talk
then you
about it.
can't just pick. I think one of the reasons we talked about that was like, so you can't just take one fighter just to sort of game it, you
Right.
know.
Right. Well, I mean, we've played games where like the one, sorry, Dan,
Yeah, with them.
the one,
Yeah.
God rest his soul,
Nomina
where
Patri, Spirito
where
Sancto.
he played the Sabotage, and he was so sad. Oh
Yeah.
my god!
I think in hindsight, he wasn't as sad as I thought he was at first. He did okay.
I think that's because I
He
edited
was going to
most of
win that
his
one.
sadness out.
Yeah. I still think he was going to win that one. But
Yeah, no, it's true. But yeah, I mean, it gets really lopsided if only one side has an aerospace fighter. I really want to try them in Destiny because Destiny uses all of the Alpha Strike rules, but there's so much more armor and flavor there. It would be interesting to see if we have the same experience or a worse one or maybe a better one. Some
yeah.
other cool house rule we talked about was like just like getting off the map, right? Like spending a turn in space and like you
Yeah.
could come back on any basically anywhere you want, right?
Yeah. But you
I
got to
thought
spend
that,
that turn off.
but you got to spend the
Because
turn off the board.
and that's a big, again, you talk about like batalytics, right? Like think about losing an entire turn of firing, right?
Yeah,
Like
it's big,
what that actually does to your
right?
DPS.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So interesting. I'm interested in everybody's opinion, guys. Leave a
Gotta
comment.
start bringing in placements,
Tell us your
anti-air.
experience. Yeah. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, you could bring
I can put cheap emplacements and, you know,
the
so your
flak
Mexican
tanks.
focus. Yeah, they're firing off chaff and messing with missiles. And I guess
Yeah.
not really. Do any of the fighters use missiles? They use lasers. They use
Oh
bombs. They use
yeah. They have
guns.
they have LRMs and autocannons and all that
I
stuff.
guess we just haven't played any with. Yeah, we just played like autocannons. I think
Yeah,
and
the
bombs.
Shalone. Does the Shalone have missiles? I don't know that it does. It might.
I guess an alpha strike doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Maybe
It's
that's
very
why I
true.
don't know. I still think I think we keep peeling alpha strike like an onion,
Yeah.
right? I think people don't realize how much complexity you can add to it. They get really hung up on like certain mechanics that are missing, but there's a lot more there to mine. And again, when you start laying combined arms, it's a very different game, and there's just a lot more going on. It's really how can my like imagination get captured. That's like what I get
Yeah.
interested in. Not so
Absolutely.
much of the mechanics. I'm much more of like am I immersed in this? And alpha lets me do that because I'm not bogged down with rules. I'm thinking about the game, looking at the figures and everything, and getting into it in that way. So
Yeah. That's a good point. Anyway, so lots of thoughts there. Hope you guys enjoyed this after action report. We'll be dropping more, but would appreciate your feedback, of course, as always. Except for the really mean stuff. If you if you have really mean stuff, we're
not
gonna
to me.
feature
Don't
it
send
in
that to
Jump
Aaron,
Point.
but send it to me. I enjoy it, but Aaron, you will. I don't want to have him calling me. Like I have to like turn the volume down on my phone.
I'm like, Tom, you will not believe what this mean person posted on the internet. I thought it was full
And
of
then I
nice
say,
people.
yeah, and then I say, I can completely believe somebody said that on the internet. It
It's
sounds
pretty
pretty good.
it's pretty much how every conversation goes. Anyway, so a
I'm gonna
couple
turn them
things.
off.
Number one, Aries Games and Minis. Don't forget. Two, Terrainify. Awesome stuff. We featured it in that last battle report we just reviewed. Don't forget.
The
And
fire.
three, please subscribe. Give us a like. We're almost at 10,000. Get us over that hump. And guys, join Patreon. $1. That's all it takes. Support what you love. We have like almost 10,000 subscribers and like 300 patrons, Tom.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, and the Discord is like just so much
Yeah,
conversation
so
going
much
on.
good conversation.
I
Awesome
drop in to
pictures over
derail
there,
everything. Yeah,
as always.
sorry everyone. Yeah,
As always.
that's
So
all I do.
help us out. Throw us $1 if you can. We'd very much appreciate it. But that said, guys, thank you so much for watching. And of course, stay tuned. Always great stuff coming from Death from Above Wargaming. Have a good night.